pictures and patterns poured into words that stream across the page, capturing life as soft-spoken.
Everybody, Jane here, and I just want to tell you about the two recent horror movies I watched. I watched Scream2 and I watched Sweeney Todd. But before we get into my thoughts on these two particular movies, I just want to remind you that I'm an author and I have a new book up on pre-order. The title is Hunter, and it is a paranormal contemporary romance about a girl who falls in love with a rock star who thinks that she is his muse as he tries to write more songs for his band. And it's funny, it's sweet, but not clean. Let's be clear, there's a little bit of spice. And if you are interested, I will put a link below to where you can pre-order that. I'm really excited about this book. I haven't put out a book since 2019, so really thrilled to be back in the writing saddle, so to speak. All right, so on to the movies I watched. The first one I watched was Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Now, I've never seen Sweeney Todd. I didn't know what I was getting into when I watched this. For those who don't know, this is about a barber who murders people, basically. Our main character is Sweeney Todd, and that is played by Johnny Depp, and he had a good life happening. He had a wife and a baby girl, and then an evil judge basically threw him into jail, I think it was, for something that he didn't do so that he could try to take the wife. And Sweeney Todd has been gone for 15 years. He's just arrived home from wherever he was. I don't know. I didn't catch really how that worked, if he was let out of prison or if he escaped a penal colony or what happened, but he's back, and he's been told by the character that is played by the girl that his wife has died from arsenic, and that the judge is currently, has adopted his daughter and is her guardian. He continues to find out that the judge who had caused all this havoc in his life is trying to convince his 15-year-old daughter to marry him, which is gross, okay? And he loses his freaking mind and goes on a killing spree. So, that's the basis of Sweeney Todd. I had so many mixed feelings about this. I ended up rating it a 4 out of 5. I think I really thought it was well done, but I also didn't necessarily like it, if that makes sense. I guess the jury's still out of whether I like it. I haven't fully decided. So what did I think was well done? I absolutely loved the aesthetic of it. This is a pretty visually stunning movie to watch, especially if your aesthetic is goth, this is your movie. I love the aesthetic of it. I liked the general idea of it. I liked that it was a musical, although I also disliked that it was a musical because I felt like there was too much music in my musical. So I love musicals, but I like older musicals where it's music is brought in for a very specific purpose, and I felt like the music in this didn't feel purposeful. It just felt random. There was stuff that we could have just had a conversation about, and instead it was, we're going to sing a song about it, and the songs weren't particularly memorable. They weren't anything that I felt like I could sing along to. So I kind of had mixed feelings about the music, but I like musicals, so I was glad that was there. My other things that I did like, this has a wonderful star cast. It's a little confusing because the Alan Rickman, who plays Snape, I can't remember her name, the girl who plays Bellatrix, and then the guy who plays Peter Pettigrew in the Harry Potter movies are in this movie as well. So when we're watching it, I'm basically like, yeah, Peter Pettigrew's helping Snape attack Bellatrix, because I didn't know the characters' names a lot of the times. It was it was an all-star cast, really great casting. Loved the cast, loved the aesthetic. I think I love the background story for Sweeney Todd, and I love the horror elements, like what they were trying to do. I just didn't always think it was perfectly executed. Um, I thought it was like over the top, gory that doesn't look real. So like the blood spurting and stuff. I didn't always think that was well done. I thought there was like an element of paint look to it. Like it didn't look real. I also felt like the story ends kind of abruptly. We literally watched afterwards to see if there was an after credit scene to kind of explain what happened because Sweeney Todd's daughter's story is not ever, it didn't ever feel finished. The thing happens and then we never hear again what happens with her. And I was like, okay. So I felt like there was some incompleteness to the story. I also just, I had times where I knew what was happening and like what the twist was. There were some really good twists. There were some really creepy twists. There was some really good emotion and characters. I think I liked it, but I'm not sure. But I do think it's a well done movie. I think quality wise, it's a good solid 4 stars. So if you enjoy musicals, and you have to enjoy musicals, if you don't like musicals, this is not for you because there is excessive amounts of music, even for a musical lover. Too much musical in my musical for me, or too much music in my musical for me. But you might check this out and really enjoy it. The other thing I watched was a sequel. I watched Scream 2. I will say this was not my first time watching Scream 2. It is my first time watching Scream 2 in a long time. So when I was a teenager, Scream was actually the first horror movie I ever watched, and it was one of my favorites. And it remains one of my favorites to this day. So Scream 2, I ended up giving a 3 stars to. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I remember feeling that way before too. I didn't think that this was as good as the first movie. So if you have never watched Scream, the first one, there is a small town and these high schoolers and these people in ghost masks are killing high schoolers. And they're trying to figure out who done it. And our main character is Sydney Prescott, and her mother was murdered several years ago, and they believe, or there's a possibility that the murders are connected to her mother's death. In book, or in book 2, in movie 2, the kids are in college now, those that remain and survive the first movie. People are in college, and we do have some of the same actors and characters in the second movie. And there are Ghostface again attacking the town, and Sydney and company have to find out who done it and defeat the Ghostface killers. I think that what I don't love about this is some of the brilliance of the first Scream movie is a little bit lost on this. The first Scream movie, there's a lot of focus on movie rules, and there's not as much focus on this. This also maybe doesn't have as much humor in the same way. The first movie was very dialogue-based humor, very quippy, whereas the humor is more situational, how people are dying. It's a lot more gory, a lot more graphic, and I didn't hate that, but it didn't do anything special for me. The other thing that I didn't necessarily like is the killers are not people who we really got to know as well as we did. And to be fair, like the suspects, we didn't get to know as well in this as in the other movie. The first movie, if you've seen it, we spent a lot of time with the suspects and really had a feel for who everybody was. And I really enjoyed that. Again, that was my first horror movie, and the first time I was like, we've been following these people and we like them, and oh my gosh, they're the killers. And in this movie, you didn't have that. Like, they were there, they did things, and you did interact with them. It's not like they pulled a complete, all of a sudden, these are the killers and we've never seen them type thing. and I hate when that happens. Like, I absolutely hate that. So I appreciate that we'd seen the killers, but there wasn't really a lot of development of the killers or clues to who these killers were. I did think the killers' motives were better, maybe, especially one of the killer's motives was better in Scream 2 than it was in Scream 1, but I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I enjoyed the first. We are currently doing a rewatch of the whole series, so I'm wondering like how I'm going to feel about the subsequent movies. I've seen 3 and I remember liking it better than 2, but we'll see. And then I have not seen Scream 4 or Scream, I think it's 2022. So we're going to watch all of those at some point and we will see what I think. All right, guys, this has been Jane. My social media is below. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.